You ever see stuff you can't explain?
This came from somewhere else.
The whole fleet of them, they're all going against the wind.
Life elsewhere in the universe is virtually a certainty.
CIA monkey business.
That was awful strange.
Hello.
Hello.
Talia,
Laura.
how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Do you like my bald cap?
Yeah, Laura's sitting across from me right now in a bald cap for almost no reason whatsoever, and it's really disturbing.
I'm just, trying out a new identity.
It makes you look like an adorable worm.
I feel like a snake. So that's close.
Welcome to Take Me to Your Dealer.
We are
Everyone,
the dealers.
It's us, your dealers.
We deal stuff.
What are we dealing today?
Fucking Zany Zamora Ziggy Kush, dog.
Good Zamora, a sticky Zane.
Yeah, for in layman's terms, we're talking about Lonnie Zamora.
Yes.
The Lonnie Zamora incident, to be precise. Not
Yes.
him, really, as a person. Just
No, maybe a little bit of him as a person.
what he saw.
So this is a very credible, very extremely well documented UFO sighting by the police officer, Lonnie Zamora.
Yeah.
In Socorro, New Mexico on April 24th, 1964.
Good year.
Great year. It's officially listed as an unknown under our old friend Project Blue Book.
Uh-huh. One of the 701 unknown.
Yeah, I there's a lot of different reasons for the credibility of this episode. Part of it is how thoroughly investigated it was and all the different government agencies that went into investigating this. Also, the credibility of the witness.
Dude, cops don't lie.
They
are
never lie.
legally not allowed to lie.
Also, this cop in particular has been listed over and over again as just being completely boring and unimaginative. Like every report
Poor
about
guy.
him is like, how could
I
he
know.
possibly come up with this story? Look at this
such
guy.
a fool. Like a bumbling idiot.
Just not fair. He definitely wasn't. He's great.
He was all right. I wouldn't go that far and call him a fool, but
Fool seems
he's
strong.
not super smart, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. So let's
Let's get into it. Let's dive in.
get to the day it all happened.
Yeah.
Zamora, by all accounts, was super horny for giving teenagers tickets.
Oh my God. It's the only thing he could get off to.
Yeah. I mean, they even talked about how after the whole incident, they talked to him about what happened. And his main problem with it was that he was unable to give up more tickets that day.
Oh.
He's like, yeah, this really took a lot of time out of all those tickets I could have been given.
Oh my God.
All right,
Jeez.
Lon. And he was known around town as being this ticketing hard
meister.
ass. Yeah.
Wow.
So he was,
Get a hobby, dude.
he had one.
No, it's his hobby. All right, fine, fair enough.
So he was waiting for speeders and he caught the big one this
Who?
day. I don't know. Some
Going 10 over.
probably.
Just
He says he was zooming, so it was probably
was it the alien craft?
I don't know. It was just some grandma that was late for her card game.
Yeah, give her a break, Lon.
Give her a break, Lon. But he was waiting and he started chasing after this car and called in a radio dispatch at 5:45 p.m. to report the vehicle. Mm-hmm. And then while on the pursuit, he hears this I've heard it described as a massive roar, but one that kind of keeps growing louder as it goes, not necessarily a big explosion.
It was a bang. I
Yeah.
think it was because he thought that it was a dynamite shack that had exploded, because apparently those were common things.
Yeah, I'm
back
so
then.
confused by this.
A dynamite shack, just
They-
randomly in the middle of nowhere.
They said that there had been a few dynamite explosions around
Yeah.
this time in Socorro. So he was just another
There's
dynamite explosion.
An epidemic of dynamite
okay.
shacks. Yeah.
I have more questions, but sure.
Okay, we'll go with that.
And so he starts heading towards said dynamite shack and notices a big orange blue flame in the sky, about a mile away.
Right. Yes.
He starts heading towards that flame instead. And I guess it's on the top of a hill and he keeps trying to go up the hill and can't get up the hill because his tires get stuck. So he turns back around, heads towards the road, and then notices again on the other side of the hill in a distance a shiny object that he initially thinks is an overturned car.
Right. Yeah. So he's like, oh shit, there's probably people in there that need Lonnie Zamora. They need me. I got to go rescue them with the jaws of life.
And potentially give them a ticket because if they got in that position, they're speeding.
Yeah.
How'd they get there?
Ticket first, save you
ticket
later.
Yeah. And as he gets closer, he realizes that it's not a car because it's most like aluminum. He describes it as whitish against the mesa background, but not chrome.
And an egg.
Yeah, shaped like an egg or a letter O type thing.
Yeah.
He calls in to dispatch at this time too and says that there's possibly a crash. But then he notices two human-like figures next to the object in white coveralls.
Yeah, he says that they're either small adults or large kids. I like a large kid.
It's a very large child. Well, what are we talking here then? Probably like 5 foot or something?
I guess.
Or?
He also said they could be women also. Like, so it's like anything. It could literally be a small adult, a large kid, or women.
Perhaps a dog standing on its hind legs.
Exactly. or aliens.
Yeah, so he is checking this stuff out. And
one of them looked at him.
Yeah, and he says looks surprised.
Yeah, like, didn't expect to see you here, Lon.
His tickets are known throughout the universe.
Yeah. Like, please, Lon. We had to go to the hospital.
Yeah, so I guess it's around this time that it starts making loud noises again. And he just loses his shit and starts running back to the car as fast as he can. He even mentions that he like loses his glasses along the way and is just like, fuck it.
Yeah. But like at this time, like as he's running back, he like hears a loud thumping, almost like car doors closing. And then he notices the beings were gone. Like they had disappeared. They like were trying to escape the lawn, the wrath of Lon.
So he is hiding out, kind of like waiting for the roaring to end. He thinks that the whole thing is going to explode. And he, by all accounts, is completely terrified.
Oh, yeah. Shit in his pants.
I mean, maybe. I don't want to slander him too hard.
I know. He's suffered enough.
I bet he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he doesn't hear anything anymore. So he kind of like looks back at the object and it's just there floating off the ground like 10 to 15 feet.
There is a
like
flame.
off.
There is like
under it's a flame.
Orangish, bluish, like little bit of propulsion happening like underneath.
Oh, okay. I read at this time that there was like no more flame.
Oh.
Maybe it like was at first.
Yeah, there was like a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it went away.
Yeah, there's some conflicting information about this story. We'll find out when we get into, and there's reasons for that we'll discuss later, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is also the time that he sees what he thinks is landing gear on it, and he notices a symbol.
Possibly a symbol. There's a lot of discrepancy about this fucking symbol, man. It's like at first it's like a triangle it was like an arrow with an arch over it, and then it turned into it's a triangle with 3 lines through it, and then the final iteration is like a triangle with like 2 lines in it and then 1 line like above it or something. Like I don't know, man. It was so hard to find like the correct information about that, like purposefully.
Yeah, which
hard.
is on purpose, misinformation for sure, which again we can get into. So he calls the state police sergeant Sam Chavez and tells him to get there immediately.
He said, "I'm scared, Sam. Please, come kiss me. Make it all better for me."
Poor Lonnie.
Yeah, he was
I feel
very,
bad.
very scared, sitting there with his soiled pants.
Okay. Of course, Chavez gets there as soon as he can, but by the time he gets there, the object is gone.
Of course.
So Chavez and Zamora, they head up to the site, and it's actually surprising how little it seems like they find at first.
Yeah. But first, like, Chavez, he noticed Zamora was, like, extremely distressed. Like, and again, like, just to speak to Zamora's character, like, I know we're ragging on him, but he was, like, a pretty solid.
A good man.
He was a solid dude. Like, he was a dude's rock dude. He did want to illegalize weed, though, I heard.
Oh, yeah. He was all about illegalizing weed. Hell yeah.
Not safe for weed.
I mean, it's just like us. Safe. NSFW. That's all us. Yeah. I mean, by all accounts, a good man, a seasoned police officer, and he just...
Well seasoned. Tasted like Old Bay.
And this little bag of Old Bay was just losing his shit by the time Chavez got there.
This little bag.
Why are we doing this to
I don't
him?
know. Okay. We got to stop.
We must respect.
He's just the Zany Zamora, We got to do something to him.
So what they do see when they get up there is a creosote bush that has been like kind of burned. It was still smoking, but when they like reached down to touch it, it was cool to the touch.
Dude, we have so many creosote bushes in Joshua Tree. Did you know that?
Do they randomly smoke on their own?
Can
you
do
smoke
not.
them?
I've tried.
Yeah.
They don't burn.
Oh shit.
It's like the burning bush. Was that the burning bush?
I think the burning bush is always burning. It's like the exact opposite kind of.
Yeah. Go
All
on.
right, so we'll move right past that. Probably edit it. And around the bush, they noticed 4 impressions on the ground,
Yes.
most likely from landing gear. Mm-hmm. They were about 3 to 4 inches deep and 12 to 14 feet apart. There was also apparently little tiny imprints next to or like around the site that they thought could be from a ladder.
Oh.
But aside from those, there was no initial markings that they marked down, which is really important because that means there's no tire tracks, no large burns across the surface of the ground, no massive disturbances. I mean, all things you would expect to see from a rocket.
Yeah, exactly. If it was something that like we had, like there would be some trace of it.
Yeah,
you
I mean,
know?
from what he was
Something that's
describing.
human, right?
So Chavez calls Captain Richard Holder, who's the commander at the local White Sands military testing site.
Right. Yeah, to like rule out if, White Sands Missile Range, if they were doing like a test or something.
Yeah, which I think is like the initial thing you'd go towards. Of course, they're just like, oh, this must be some sort of weird secret government test. Let's just find out right now, and calls up Holder. And Holder is just like, nah. I got to come take a look at this. So he comes down with FBI agent Richard Burns, which to me just kind of immediately showed how important this was to them.
Yeah, they were like, ah, shit, here we go again.
Yeah, because like later we'll get into, all of the explanations people have. And like they keep talking about White Sands and about how it could have been like a rogue, I don't know, any government type of aircraft.
I thought it was like a NASA surveyor probe or something.
Yeah, or like
it's
a moon
what?
landing thing. And like every time it's like, well,
They never made an egg.
they don't make eggs, first of all.
They don't make eggs.
And I mean, this would have been something that they would have immediately known about at White Sands.
Yeah,
They'd
they
been
could
like, oh,
identify
yeah,
it.
we did happen to miss an object earlier for about an hour.
I forgot about that. Oops.
But no, he came right down. He came right down with an FBI agent. They were ready to take this shit seriously. Mm-hmm. Why? What do they know?
Once they were all like investigating it, they all agreed that like these were fresh marks. Like these weren't, that's like adding to Zamora's credibility. It's not like this shit like had been there for a while. Like it just happened at the time.
It's smoking.
That Zamora said it happened. They all agreed that he was visibly shaken. He wasn't someone who was easily spooked. And the official FBI report states that he was sober, mature, dependable, and not known to engage in flights of fantasy. Because that's what people say.
No, he was boring.
Yeah.
They looked at this guy and they're like, this guy is boring as hell.
guy
He
sucks.
did not make this shit up.
Exactly.
They totally believed his story right away.
Right.
I think around this time they also called the Holloman Air Force nearby, and they said they have no matching descriptions of craft that could possibly be that one. The FBI agents were talking to him at this point, and they were like, look, you're going to be talking to some people. People are going to ask you questions.
Uh-huh.
Don't tell anyone about the people you see.
Don't tell anyone
Near
about the
the
people. Don't talk about the symbol.
Yeah.
Also, they were
Don't talk about the
very
symbol.
like weird about the symbol, as if that was a huge deal.
Don't tell them about the symbol because we got to have something to fact check. So if they start getting a bunch of people in town calling up and being like, oh yeah, I saw that too, and it had
yeah.
so-and-so, like
They need to know it's the right symbol.
right. They need to be able to discredit these people. And so I get confused here as to whether or not he even saw a symbol on the craft at all. Like maybe they made up the symbol.
I don't know. I mean, there's like shit. Like he apparently drew the symbol right after he saw it, and like I don't know. At least that's what I found online. Like he drew it and then
to them.
signed it. Like I don't know why he would sign
weird.
it. But the first
Sounds made up.
symbol that he apparently saw was the arrow with the arch over it.
Yeah, with like in the half circle kind of.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that too. So maybe they just came and they made up another one
They did.
to tell him.
Yeah. It was just purposeful like misinformation that they just love to do even today.
Yeah. Well, Lonnie does give an interview the next day on a local news station, and he immediately starts talking about both the symbol and the people.
Yeah,
he
he's just
saw.
like, "Oh, okay, I won't talk about that." Proceeds to talk about it.
I don't think it was his fault. I think it's literally because he's just like this unimaginative old man where he's just trying to tell his story. He doesn't understand that
This
people are
is
going to
the
make
most
fun of him.
exciting thing that's ever happened to Lon. Okay, let Lon bask in his glory for once.
He also really fucks up because when talking about the people, he says, and quotes, "I wouldn't say they were people. I just saw something in white coveralls."
Yeah.
So now everyone in town loses their shit over it. It reaches a national audience. I mean, I heard that congressmen started calling in with questions. Like, everyone was fucking concerned.
Everyone wants to get on that lawn juice.
Yeah, Lonnie's just super. He's got this like trustworthy face.
Yes.
You know?
It's a face.
But he becomes a joke.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks he's this crazy UFO person, and it starts to ruin his life a little bit at this point on. But apparently he's not the only person
I was going to say, it's
that
like,
saw this.
so I don't understand like why they would try so hard to discredit him when it's like there's all these other fucking people that were like, yo,
I just
saw
people
that.
don't know as
I
much.
saw that too. It's like easier to control Lon. Maybe these other people were just like outliers. But yeah, so many witnesses came forward stating that, you know, they also heard the roar, the bangs. I guess 3 separate people had called the police around the same time to report a glowing object in the sky. So they had seen, you know,
Seeing a blue flame.
yeah, basically the same shit that he saw. Another witness had called the Albuquerque TV station to report a UFO sighting that was apparently heading south to Socorro. So I don't know if this was like before, it was like right before it like crashed down and Lonnie saw it. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's pretty wild that you would call like the TV station, you know, it's like.
I would definitely call the TV station
Before
first.
the cops?
Oh my God, yeah. Because
But
it's
back
like,
then, everybody loved the cops.
it's not even that. It's that you want the sensational story. You want the whole news to break because, like, if I witnessed something I wasn't supposed to see, like government-wise, I don't want the government coming after me and trying to silence me. I'm going to tell everyone first.
Yeah. All right, fair
So
enough.
have you told anybody about this? Like, I told literally everybody about this.
Okay, I want to talk about my favorite.
Opal.
Opal.
I love Opal. I just want to meet him so bad.
I just think that he talks like this. Opal Grinder.
All right, so you be Opal, and I'm going to come into your service station. He's a gas station worker, and I'm a tourist who came in and says, "Hey, Opal, I heard a loud boom outside and saw some sort of aircraft flying real low."
Oh, that was, you know, probably a helicopter. We got a lot of them in the area. We got a lot of those. They fly pretty low.
Yeah, to which the witness then replies, "It was a funny-looking helicopter, if that's what it was." It's my favorite news report of all time.
Yeah, it's like, okay. Anyway. Good old Opal. Good old Pole. The 2 men that actually, like, talked to Opal, they later came out and said that, no, it definitely was not a helicopter. Like, it absolutely was an egg-shaped object. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't a helicopter.
Yeah.
Like, Opal was lying to us.
Opal was trying his best.
Opal has a lot of hardships in
You
his
got
life.
you got a lot against these people.
His name is Opal.
Opal's a good name. Opal Grinder. It's fantastic. There was also one more report that I don't really believe. This one I'm a little skeptical of.
Why?
Well, okay. So apparently in a place called La Madura, which is about 3 miles north of Socorro, someone claims they saw the same object on their property. He says that it landed on his farm, scared the shit out of his horses.
Yes, disturbed
Stayed
his
there
horses.
all night, and he
Wow.
was too afraid to come out and look at it. And then the next day, there was 4 smoldering spots on the ground, like legs from the craft.
Yeah, same thing. Like, wait, so
Okay.
wait, when did he report this, though? Did he report it before?
Yeah,
Lonnie?
so that's the thing is all of these reports came out before Lonnie went public.
Whoa. Okay, then I believe
crazy.
this man then. How do you not believe him? Why? Just because he has horses?
It's literally like the plot of Men in Black.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I believe him. I believe them all.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's around this time that now the government starts getting involved because they're getting all these calls and everything's
Yeah.
getting fucked up. I even saw that Holder got a call from a colonel in the War Room of the Pentagon, like surrounded by his Joint Chief of Staffs, were like talking about it.
Yeah, they were like, we gotta fucking suppress the shit out of this shit.
Well, figure out what it is first, I guess.
No, they don't care. They don't care to figure it out. They're just like, nope, don't let anybody talk about it
I
anymore.
mean, kind of, yeah, because the Air Force ended up passing it off to Blue Book, which we know at this time Blue Book is just a bunch of bullshit. There's
Yeah, they're
4
just
men on
like-
staff. It's run by
yeah.
Quintanilla, who doesn't give a fuck and thinks
Quintanilla
it's all
was the
fake.
worst, yeah.
Yeah.
But Quintanilla, you know, he was actually pretty on board with Zamora. Like, I mean, like the public report, yes, was bullshit. It was like nothing major, nothing of concern. I don't know
why are you giving him Trump? Why?
It's nothing major, nothing of concern. The aliens don't care about me. I don't like them. They don't like me. Not very nice people.
Yeah. So Quintanilla Trump, he actually calls up Dr. J. Allen Hynek, our old friend.
Our old boy.
Yeah. Who, just a little reminder here, started out working for the government as a scientist because he was such a skeptic.
Right.
And then after doing this for 20 years and seeing the few cases that were completely unsolved, and they freaked him out. And he kind of became a little believer by the end and refused to call himself a skeptic. Mm-hmm. He said that they all need to be investigated. He knew there was something out there. He tries to make the trek to Socorro. I kept reading that he got a flat tire and ended up having to hitchhike up. So you can imagine at this point he's like pretty exasperated and annoyed.
He's pretty pissed.
He gets
Fucking
there.
Lonnie.
It's about 4 days after this all happened, of course. So the landing site at this point has been pretty much trampled. But
really, they allowed it to get trampled? I figured they would
people were sneaking up there.
Yeah, that's true.
But Hynek goes and he meets with Zamora, and he, again, starts off skeptical, but starts talking to him and completely buys into what he's saying. He describes him as an unimaginative old cop incapable of hoax.
Was he that old?
I don't think he was that
He
old.
didn't look that old to me.
I just imagine Zamora, like, I have dreams too, sometimes.
Yeah, I'm a human. I'm a human being, actually.
He said he was pretty sore at being regarded as a romancer, which I thought was just unneeded.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. But yeah, Hynek was like, those guys definitely telling the truth. So,
yeah, I mean, okay, so like the official, I just wanted to read this quote from like the Blue Book report that Quintanilla had put out. And basically what he says is Zamora is puzzled by what he saw, and frankly, so are we. This is the best documented case on record, and we still have been unable, in spite of thorough investigation, to find the vehicle or other stimulus that scared Zamora to the point of panic. Like, that's pretty huge.
Yeah.
That they're just like, because I mean, Quintanilla, like, this is the point when they're saying like everything is Jupiter.
Right.
Everything is like a fucking star. It's like, oh yeah, it's just a star. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can't tell the difference between a fucking egg-shaped craft literally
right
20
in front
feet
of my face.
in front of my fucking face. And a star in the sky. Like, yes, I'm going to confuse the two. That's what humans are capable of doing.
Yeah, but no, they totally believed this case. They aren't saying it's aliens, but they're like, something fucking happened out here.
Yeah, and they deemed it, again, like as one of the 701, because that's like the famous number of the unexplainable cases. And they maintained a calm public front.
Right. I read this whole story right now also that happened when like Hynek was going out there to investigate the crash landing site. I don't know. With Zamora, and Chavez is there. And apparently a man named Ray Stanford, who is a UFO researcher and a member of NICAP at the time. NICAP, you guys will remember, is that like civilian UFO group?
Classic NICAP.
Yeah. So he comes out to investigate, and he, I guess originally was just like at the police station, like trying to get a hold of Zamora, who Zamora wants nothing to do with UFO people at this point because they're harassing him. He wishes he never told the story to begin with.
Right. And again, that adds more to his credibility. Like, I just always respect that. Like when people are just like, wait, this sucks. Like, it's just like, and plus, like, yeah, he was a respected cop. And why would he risk his reputation like that? Like, why would he put his fucking, basically, like, his whole life on the line like that? Like, clearly something, whatever he saw, shook him up that bad to where he had to talk about it and basically ruin his life.
Yeah, and now he's just like, I shouldn't have said a damn thing. He's all pissed off about it. And he refuses to meet with this guy because now you've got this, like, this guy's 25 years old. And he's just coming in.
A literal baby.
And he's just loves aliens. He's always talking about aliens. He claims he can like communicate with them. He's just fucking off. And he keeps trying to get a hold of him, and Zamora is not returning his calls. He ends up going down to the police station he works at, and he's like arguing with the dispatcher for a while. The dispatcher finally just basically radios into Zamora, like, or I think into Chavez. And it's just like, yeah, I got this guy down here. He says he works for NICAP. And while Chavez is like, don't you dare bring that fucking fool up here, Hynek overhears and is like, yeah, bring him in. Like, just bring him in as long as it's just him.
Okay.
Because Hynek is trying to really thoroughly research this, like, with all
Yeah,
credibility.
he's taking it seriously, like he do.
Yeah. So the guy ends up coming up, Ray. And by the time he gets there, they're kind of looking at one of the spots where the landing gear scraped against a rock. And Zamora kind of notices it. And he's like, this is interesting, isn't it? What if there's like some information here from where it scraped? And they kind of take a minute to look at it and then go about the rest of their business and forget about it. Not Ray, though. Ray remembers. Ray comes back once everyone's left and takes the rock. And in the process of trying to get it over for a sample to a scientist, I guess it gets mishandled and some of the scrapings come off. So there's not quite as much as he would have hoped for. But he eventually does get it into the hands of a NASA scientist.
Okay, yes.
Through his connections with NICAP. And this is also a really interesting turn of events that he later notices is weird, because he finally got his hands on this rock and he gives it to a government scientist.
Right.
Like, what do you think's going to happen? They're not going to tell you the truth. That's the whole point.
Oh, whoops. This went missing. Oh, no. We can't, we don't know what happened to it. Yeah, that happened a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to his credit, the scientist does end up calling him back after he researches it and says that after testing it, he found that the metal particles are a specific zinc iron alloy that is unlike any alloy natural to Earth.
Go on.
And that the objects that the scrapings are from couldn't have come from Earth, basically. And he's like, but I'll send you over the information that I got in the study, and I'll send you over the samples. I'll let you know. And then, of course, Ray keeps waiting for these, and he ends up waiting for weeks without this guy calling him back. And he keeps trying to call to get these samples because this is crazy news. Finally, weeks later, someone at NASA answers the call and tells him that this scientist was taken off the case.
Oh.
Because his conclusions were incorrect. And a new analysis was done, and they basically said that the samples were silica, which is like very common.
Yeah, exactly.
And they'll send the information right over to him.
Me right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the end of that story. Is he gets this new findings,
Yeah, of
and
course.
that's all. Never hears from the other guy again.
Zamora, he saw people, right? He saw apparently like these little baby children or women walking around. And normally people that walk produce footprints, right?
Right.
So no footprints were ever discussed in the official reports. So this guy, Ted Jordan, he was a police officer that was part of the initial investigation. Are you taking a selfie right now? Can you pay attention to what I'm saying, please? Feeling very insecure.
I just want you guys to see what Laura looks like right now so bad.
I'm bald, okay? I'm bald.
Like a beautiful worm.
I'm a beautiful snake. I'm a snake. So yeah, Ted Jordan, he was a police officer on the scene investigating, part of that whole initial crew. The Air Force was there too investigating. They asked him for his camera because he was like obviously taking photos of the scene for evidence and just, to take photos. Like, why wouldn't you do that? And apparently on this film, like he had photos of the indentations on the ground. So from the craft, he had the indentations, right? The 4 like holes,
right?
Basically, the scorched bush and footprints shaped like coffee cups.
Coffee cups.
Yeah. So like little circles.
Like hooves?
I guess. Sounds cute. Sounds really cute. If they
no
had,
one's ever talked about alien feet, I guess, before. I haven't really heard a lot about it.
Yeah, if they have little hooves.
That's adorable.
I am very into that.
Why would they have hooves? Do you think that...
Maybe they're just bred
mountainous?
Bred with horses. Maybe they're centaurs.
Oh.
They're centaurs. So that was all on this camera. Ted Jordan eventually asked for his reels of film back from the Air Force, like months and months later. He was like, oh yeah, whatever happened to that? I should probably like see what that was. And then the Air Force told him that the film was ruined by radiation and it didn't come out. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, so that shit sucks. And then again, like just to go back to like the symbol too, like just a lot of like purposeful like misinformation. They like, you know, told Lonnie like not to talk about it, to give a fake description of the symbol. Yeah, just like there's so many like different drawings of the symbol.
Do you think there
like,
was a symbol, or do you think that they made up the symbol from the beginning in order to discredit the story?
I don't know. Like, why have a symbol at all? Like, I don't know.
I mean, this gets kind of into like, I guess, our conclusions of what we might think it was. But before we get there, it's important to remember that Lonnie was a police officer. And
he was a cop.
He was a cop.
A full cop.
So the first thing, and he's on duty. So the first thing that he does is he radios in his police captain.
Yeah.
And gets him down to the site. And then immediately from there, they get the military in at White Sands. And then the military gets a hold of the Air Force and whatever else. And like this was
got out of
immediately
control
in the
very
government.
fast.
Yeah.
He was like, oh shit.
But this all happens long before it becomes released to the public.
Yeah.
So like Lonnie's first instinct was not, you know, anything along the lines of like, oh, the public has a right to information. I mean, you know, we talked about in like the Betty and Barney Hill story where like Betty immediately just starts screaming about what happened to her to everybody that'll listen.
Hell yeah.
Long before it becomes public, or and long before it, you know, the government could even remotely step in. But this is like the opposite, where it just is immediately handled within the government.
Yeah.
And other information kind of becomes public after it's gone through those channels. So like,
but he is doing interviews. Like he's
doing interviews after talking to military personnel though. Like, how do we know?
And he does say like, they told me not to talk about this. Like,
yeah, but he says that. Maybe he says that for credibility.
Specifically the symbol.
Yeah. I wonder how much of it is true. Like, I wonder if there's any facts that we're missing that he just could not talk about. I mean, maybe because they're trying to cover it up.
To his grave, man.
Maybe because it would also help with the investigation if they didn't release all of the facts so they could filter out the callers. I mean, I just don't know.
We'll never know, man. He's fucking dead.
Yeah.
He's dead as fuck.
Unfortunately, yeah. He did end up dying of a heart attack in 2009.
That's pretty old.
Yeah. He lived for a while after this. His life was ruined over this UFO stuff. I mean, he was so upset over it and all of the attention that he got that he avoided anything to do with UFOs, and he quit and started working at a gas station.
Just like Opal.
Suspicious. Definitely never talked to Opal though. Or maybe did, because Opal was like, it's a helicopter.
Opal's like, I got a job for you.
None of that alien shit in here.
Come work for me.
Yeah.
Wait, I forgot what was his voice. I did a different voice. I was, come work for me. That was not the voice.
That's late. That's Opal later in life.
Yeah. Hey, Zamora, I believe you.
Yeah, and he actually was quoted in the Associated Press as saying, "If I can just forget about it, maybe it will go away." But it didn't.
That's sad.
Followed him for the rest of his life.
Even on his fucking tombstone.
His obituary.
Oh, I thought it was his tombstone. Like, man, crazy man.
UFO man lies here.
UFO.
R.I.P. UFO man.
Unimaginative.
It's just
man.
the shape of an alien head.
Yes. Unimaginative UFO man.
Oh, boring old Zamora.
Oh, poor Lon.
No, he was great.
Yeah. So what are some possible explanations for this though?
Well, it was definitely fucking aliens first. Yeah, let me make that very clear.
I believe that as well. Yeah. But there's always, people that say it's not. These two guys, apparently they're famous UFO skeptics. Like, cool job, dude. Like, cool life.
Yeah, are you proud of yourself?
Why don't you go have sex?
Like, you just tell people no for a living?
It's like they need to have some life experience.
Something.
Yeah. So Philip Klass and then Stuart Campbell, they're like two famous UFO skeptics, apparently. And Philip Klass said that Zamora just saw ball lightning. Whatever the fuck that is. Just balls coming out of the sky.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what the hell ball lightning is. I just saw
I mean, I feel like people use that a lot for UFO reports, and it definitely happens sometimes.
What is it?
It's just a certain type of lightning phenomenon.
That's balls?
Yeah, it's like balls of lightning.
Like testicles.
Yeah, it's like normally two little tiny lightning circles that like dangle in the sky in front of your face, kind of.
Wrinkly?
Yeah, they're pretty
Okay.
wrinkly.
I believe that.
You believe that this instance
Yes.
was ball lightning?
Yeah, he also said that Zamora probably made the whole thing up just to increase tourism in Socorro, which is like, no,
It also hasn't.
that's lame.
It's like not a thing.
No.
It doesn't currently exist.
It is a monument, though. Like,
yeah, but it's like it's not a big tourist attraction. Like,
no, like it's not like, oh, I'm gonna fly from fucking like Germany to go see the
yeah.
Lonnie Zamora monument in Socorro. Like, you know, it's
Also, this guy, by all accounts, was just this like crazy police officer that just wanted to give teens tickets, and we think that he's going to make up an entire UFO story to bring in tourism. Like, you're not paying attention.
yeah, no. And then Stuart Campbell, another guy.
This fucking guy.
This guy, he fucking said that Lonnie, he just saw the star Canopus.
Yeah, this feels honestly like they're not even trying. Like, they just like think that we're not listening and we're a bunch of idiots.
A lot of people, though, unfortunately, like will just take that at face value. They'll just be like, oh yeah,
Yeah, he saw a
just
star. In the FBI report, it says that he was as close as 100 feet to the object.
Oh my god! Yeah.
And it was. They specifically mentioned that it was clear conditions. I mean, they mentioned all of this to prove that he knows what he saw.
Wait, it was also like during the day. I mean,
Yeah.
well, it was like, you know, it was
it was
evening.
white out.
Yeah, it was definitely like the
Sunny.
sun wasn't down.
No.
You know, April at like 6 p.m. Like the sun is absolutely still up.
Yeah. And he was so close to it. And he also was a veteran of the Korean War. So he had like seen aircraft before. He had
seen shit.
Yeah.
Zamora had seen some shit.
It's just fucking rude.
Could have been a prototype of the NASA Surveyor probe. I guess tests were being done nearby, I guess, at the White Sands Missile Range, but, you know, that doesn't really fucking make sense at all.
It like seriously doesn't make any sense
makes
because
like,
the
why
first,
even say that?
the
Why even say that?
the first call they made was to White Sands.
Yeah,
so you're
they were
telling
like,
me that
no.
that White Sands was testing a lunar landing device, which is what they're saying.
Yeah.
And the lunar landing device like went fucking missing
Yeah.
for a little amount of time, and they called White Sands and were like, "Hey, we saw this object," and
Yeah.
Holder was like, "Oh, I know nothing that even sounds like that, despite the fact that we are currently testing something today. It doesn't hold up."
Yeah, and apparently, like, it was being, like, carried around, like, on a helicopter, like...
And was a triangle.
And it only had 3 legs, and it fucking would have had a NASA logo on it. It would have
And
had,
wasn't
like,
a manned craft.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just so dumb. Like, why even say that? Like, why waste our fucking
Shit's
time?
so stupid.
Okay,
And there's no symbols on it.
Yeah, exactly. So the big explanation, and this is like sort of believable, but I still don't believe it. I'm with my boy Lon, like till the grave. So nearby there is the New Mexico Institute of Mining and Technology. So this was like a big nerd school. The president, Sterling Colgate, he says that this was
Heir to the Colgate fortune, by the way.
Really?
Yep, that Colgate.
The toothpaste.
Oh yeah, toothpaste man.
I don't trust him at all then. He said that it was an experiment by students or possibly a hoax because the energetic lab, which was on site, apparently it gives students access to all kinds of explosives, all kinds of just like material that would like sort of emulate like what he saw. And they would be wearing white coveralls if
Right.
they were experimenting with such things. And then the big kicker is that I guess Lonnie, he did work on campus at one point before he became, you know, the horny cop for tickets. And
It's the horny cop.
he wasn't particularly popular with students. So they could have just been playing a big old prank.
Yeah,
on
but like
him.
what kind of fucking prank? Because that's the other thing that I've seen with this is, I mean, the amount of technology required to do something like this is insane.
You don't have
Especially
anything better to do with your time than to like prank some fucking like unimaginative old man.
Well, I mean, I'm sure the prank would have been so much fun, except you would have need to figure out such a prank that it would have created this massive explosion without any fucking fire.
They would have had to know where Lonnie was, staged a fucking high-speed chase, pray that Lonnie, like, doesn't catch the guy. Like, you know what I mean?
They would
It's
have had to be 5 feet tall.
They would have had to be...
They're all small women.
Exactly. They would have had to be, like, listening to, like, the police radio or something to, like, know where he was,
Yeah,
I
and
guess.
then the police would have had to have been in on this too, because they did such thorough investigations on the landing site and came up with no evidence at all. So, like, again, like, no tire tracks, no massive burning, no nothing. Like, how could they have possibly done
And again,
this?
like, after all this time, it's like these were students back then. It's like they're definitely still alive possibly today. It's like all this time, like, they wouldn't have come clean. Like, they wouldn't have said, like, oh, yeah, like, we did that, you know, like, we were just fucking around.
Yeah.
We hated Lonnie. Like, he
and
sucked.
Hynek did so many interviews around town specifically to try to figure out if it was a hoax. He, like, interviewed students, he interviewed teachers, and no one mentioned anything about it. Like, no one had any idea.
Exactly.
Like, someone would have known something or would have come forward, especially after all of this time. And also, the person that put this theory forward was also an American physicist at Los Alamos, our old lab that Mr. Hal Lazar worked at. So,
Did you say Hal Lazar?
I did, yeah.
I thought, like, because Hal is a name, apparently.
That's his name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I wonder if, I don't know, maybe he knew something. Maybe
Bob knew something?
Okay, Bob knows something.
Okay, this was also shaped like an egg, a.k.a. a Tic Tac.
This was a Tic Tac shaped object.
So, like, what the fuck?
I'm saying maybe this guy put forward the student hoax explanation because he knows what it really is. And he's like, oh, yeah, that must have been. His exact quote I saw is a candle in a balloon, not sophisticated. Just like, first of all, fuck you.
Just shut up. Stop. Just stop
But
talking.
yeah, I think he knows exactly what it was.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm convinced. I'm all for Lon.
You think it was aliens?
I'm team. Yeah. Yes, I'm team aliens. 100%.
I'm just wondering if it couldn't have also have been a recovered craft that they were testing. Like an alien Tic Tac craft.
The thing that throws me off is, yes, the legs. Because that's like... I didn't think that the Tic Tacs had legs.
They got to land.
They got to land, supposedly. Did the legs go up when it was rising up?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
But remember, Betty and Barney Hill saw like a ramp come out of their craft, and they saw like weird bat wings and stuff. So like,
oh yeah, the bat wings. That's
all of
fucking
these
wild.
all of these craft have some sort of landing gear and like dismounting gear, I guess.
All right. Well, that part's a little weird, but no, 100%. It's always aliens. It's always aliens. It's never not aliens.
Well, that's the thing, is that there are aliens, and we know that definitely some of these reports are UFOs.
Yes.
So we're gonna also say that this one's a UFO.
Okay. The verdict is UFO.
Yeah.
Everyone, in case you were waiting for our official verdict.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Blue Book said.
Blue Book
Officially.
definitely. Yeah, and Hynek's official report on it, again, like kind of like Laura touched on earlier, it was just that he feels that this report is extremely credible and that it's really...
My boy Lon was solid, is what he's trying to say.
And that it's really unfortunate that somebody like Lonnie would get such hate for
Yeah.
simply reporting something that he saw. And there's something we see a lot with a lot of UFO cases where people get like...
They're gaslit, man.
Yeah, like they're ruined over just simply
Exactly.
reporting
The
something. And
gaslight
that's,
anthem, you know?
and that's no mistake. The government wants you to think these people are crazy.
To listen to gaslight anthem.
Okay. Can you stop plugging Gaslight Anthem? What the fuck?
We're sponsored by them. Go listen
We're
to
not.
whatever their song is.
All right, we're going to definitely end this podcast here because there's no moving forward now.
Okay, Lonnie, you're avenged.
Yeah, you're officially bunked.
You're bunked. Hey, listen to us all the time and follow us on social media.
Listen to us all the time. Yeah, we do
Before
have
bed
social...
is the best. In the bath, maybe when you're lathering
Why
up.
not? Yeah, we have social medias. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, on Reddit. Those are all going to... Not Friendster. The other ones are all going to be TMTYD pod.
That's easy to remember, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tell us if it's not.
Yeah.
TMTYD. It's like so it flows off the tongue.
It does.
so well.
It flows.
If it doesn't, then you're unimaginative.
You're an unimaginative old boring cop.
Yeah, exactly.
You can also find us on our. We have a website, TMTYD Pod.
Thanks to the wonderful Chrysanta Baker, by
Thank
the
you,
way.
Santa.
Thank you for making our website. We love
Yeah.
you very much.
And you can also find us on Patreon at Take Me to Your Dealer if you'd like to throw some cash at us.
Hey, if you want to be bunked, throw some cash.
It costs money to be bunked.
Yeah, it's not free.
No.
It's not cheap.
All right, well, gonna get going now. Bye.